class! Today we're going to cover the parable of the Good Shepherd, looked at through John 10, 1 through 18. Sorry I didn't upload on Easter, but I was spending time with my family, and I hope you spent time with your loved ones too. But without further ado, let's jump right into the parable. I tell you the truth, the man who does not enter the sheep pen by the gate, but climbs in by some other way, is a thief and a robber. The man who enters by the gate is the shepherd of his sheep. The watchman opens the gate for him, and the sheep listen to his voice. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he has brought out all his own, he goes on ahead of them, and his sheep follow him because they know his voice. But they will never follow a stranger. In fact, they will run away from him because they do not recognize a stranger's voice. Jesus used this figure of speech, but they did not understand what he was telling them. Therefore, Jesus said again, I tell you the truth, I am the gate for the sheep. All who ever came before me were the thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not listen to them. I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved. He will come in and go out and find pasture. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it to the fullest. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. The hired hand is not the shepherd who owns the sheep. So when he sees the wolf coming, he abandons the sheep and runs away. Then the wolf attacks the flock and scatters it. The man runs away because he is a hired hand and cares nothing for the sheep. I am the good shepherd. I know my sheep, and my sheep know me. Just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. I have other sheep that are not of this sheep pen. I must bring them also. They too will listen to my voice, and there shall be one flock and one shepherd. The reason my Father loves me is that I lay down my life only to take it up again. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down on my own accord. I have authority to lay it down and authority to take it up again. This command I received from my Father.
The parable of the Good Shepherd is going over the fact that Jesus is the way and he is the truth, and those who hear his voice understand that he works on a person's heart. He brings transformation forward through your actions and your heart, and he displays this by example. And this parable is really great because it does a few things. It also shows that those who hear his voice and follow him will also be given peace and rest. And it makes me think of Psalms 23. Let's check that out and see how it ties into the parable.
So I'm really excited about this parable. I wanted to play the artist, I believe the young man's name is Trevor Morgan. He sings Psalms 23. Instead of reading it to you, I wanted to play that song for you. I'm super frustrated because I went to upload my video and I was playing a song from Trevor Morgan and I got copyright infringements, and it's frustrating because his lyrics are right out of the Bible, Psalms 23. Like, you should not be able to copyright that.
Yeah.
Frustrated.
I feel like this video would have come together much better if I could have used the Psalms 23 song that Trevor Morgan created
to show the correlation between the good shepherd, the shepherd and the sheep, how the shepherd takes care of the flock, and he gives us peace and comfort in this time, that in the times we're going through things that are difficult in our lives. In addition to the correlation between Psalms 23 and the Good Shepherd parable that we're covering, I wanted to also touch bases on two other main factors that we talk about in this parable. In addition to the Psalms 23 correlation, the parable also talks about false doctrine, or false teaching rather, and his sheep knowing his voice. And he knows us by name. He knows the number of hairs we have on our head. We know his voice when he speaks to our heart, when he tells us we're not being just to a person that we're interacting with, when he tells us in our heart that, gosh, I really probably shouldn't have said that thing I said to that person because it really hurt them, and I know what I was doing with my words. He speaks to our hearts. We hear his voice. But beware of false teachings. And that thought made me think of Matthew 7:15, where it says, beware of wolves in sheep clothing. This can be found even in the churches when it's displayed by the Pharisees who are selling items in the temple or the church. This happens in nowadays when you go to church. There's books in the bookstore being sold for extremely high prices in the churches, in the bookstores, and people just want, and they are craving the word of God, and these bookstores are selling these items for, gosh, $30 for a book, and a lot of the people who are attending church can't even pay that. And so this happens in this day and age. So and I just wanted to make sure I put a special verse, Matthew 7:15. Beware of wolves in sheep's clothing. This is something that actually happens and occurs. So you want to make sure that you're taking the lessons with a grain of salt. As I learned recently, I was told by a trusted friend that sheep need to have their fleece spliced in order to stay alive. Otherwise, so humans. And I actually researched that statement, and it actually is not, it's not fact, it's not factual. There is truth that a sheep's wool will continue to grow if not cut, but they don't die without a human. They don't die without us. And I found that interesting, because how many times are we told something by somebody that we believe and trust, and no discredit to them, but we just take it as truth. And you got to be aware of that. You have to research these things for yourself. Even the things that I'm saying, look into it. Doesn't hurt anybody. It just increases, and I'm sorry, I'm messing with the camera. It just increases the knowledge that we all share together. So I wanted to make sure I pointed out the wolves in sheep clothing. Beware of just false doctrine and people just saying whatever and not researching it, including me. So fact check me. It just, again, brings more growth and development for us as a community. So I believe in this parable, when it discussed abundance, I believe that it is referring to spiritual abundance, like having peace and comfort when you're dealing with things that are almost unbearable. Being blessed in a time where you are in desperate need of some type of help, and lo and behold, God's intervention takes place and you have what you need. I believe that this is covered quite well in Matthew 6:25 through 32, where it talks about, don't worry about what you're going to eat. Don't worry about what you're going to wear. I will provide for you. And then it's reconfirmed, throughout the Bible, but specifically to give you a reference, in Philippians 4:19, it says, God will meet your needs according to the riches of his glory. That could be anything, and his will is so much better than ours. What he wants for us is so much better than we could ever want for ourselves. So I find excitement when it talks about the abundance that he came to give us. And just to make another reference, Matthew 6:19, it says, do not store up for yourself treasures on earth where moths and thieves can steal from you. Instead, store up treasures in heaven. So these are going to be our spiritual gifts that we talk about, that the Spirit manifests, like self-control and patience, kindness, love, gentleness. We will have these in abundance, and that alone truly makes life more bearable, easier to deal with, and there's so many blessings. So I was excited to share this parable with you. I hope you got out as much as I did, and I'll keep doing these uploads, and I hope that you're gaining from it, because I sure am getting a lot of spiritual encouragement in my spiritual walk. Blessings, and until next time. So initially I was not going to include this piece, but after having technical difficulties updating or uploading my video onto the program editor I use, I realized God was speaking to my heart further in regards to the parable, because as I was doing just some fact checking on sheep and human and the connection, I also came across an interesting fact that comes up about sheep, and that is that there is a percentage of sheep that are gay. So this is slightly difficult to discuss because I feel like it's a highly controversial topic, and I never want to misspeak in regards to someone else's spiritual path, so I tread lightly. But I did find it interesting that if we are to pull correlations between sheep and the shepherd and what one represents in regards to the parable, in the studies that I was pulling up, or the facts that I was pulling up, an interesting fact was that a percentage of sheep are gay. And I think it's beautiful that God references sheep then, because it talks about his sheep being all of us, one fold, one flock. And some are all struggling, not some, but all are struggling with different areas of not following the 10 Commandments or not living in a moral, sexual manner. The Bible talks about a lot of different spiritual beliefs of things that God doesn't like and likes, and one of those things is fornication before marriage, adultery, having same-sex sexual relationships. There's a lot of things the Bible discusses, but the 10 Commandments, Jesus coming to account for all of us, for the areas where we do displease God, I think it goes to show that he's saying that we are all one, and that we're all one flock or one fold, sheepfold. And I think that there's something there that I had fun exploring, that I think that maybe your mind will be enlightened to as well, but it's your own spiritual journey. So again, I tread lightly, and I hope you guys will do your own research. Peace until next time. Have a blessed week, y'all.